In the high-stakes theater of professional combat sports, we tune in to witness the impossible, right? We watch aging legends completely defy the clock, we watch broken empires rebuild their foundations, and we pray for a final cinematic comeback that will somehow erase years of heartbreak. But, the octagon is a cold, indifferent cage. Just 3 nights ago, under the blinding lights of the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, the whole world watched with held breath as the sport's most magnetic global icon, Conor McGregor, stepped back into the UFC after a grueling 5-year layoff. It was supposed to be this legendary night of closure, a 13-year-old rivalry against Max Holloway finally settled once and for all. But instead of a triumphant return, it became a tragedy. 69 seconds. That is all it took. Just 69 seconds into the opening frame, before a single clean punch could even be traded, Conor's right knee just completely gave way. It ended the fight instantly and left 20,000 fans in stunned, silent disbelief. The dream of a triumphant return didn't just fade, it literally shattered on impact.
And you really have to contrast this sudden, catastrophic brevity against the sheer magnitude of the buildup. We are talking about 5 long years, a grueling wait since McGregor fractured his left leg against Dustin Poirier back in 2021. Fans waited half a decade for this exact moment. They drove average ticket prices to over $1,500 a pop, which resulted in a staggering, record-breaking UFC gate of $26.4 million. And then, it was all over in just over a minute.
So now, with a severe medical suspension looming and retirement rumors just swirling endlessly online, the sporting world is forced to ask a painful, inevitable question. Is this officially the final, heartbreaking chapter of Conor McGregor's legendary career? Well, that is exactly what we're going to unpack in today's Explainer.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, Anatomy of the Injury, breaking down the 69-second failure.
Let's trace the absolute microscopic anatomy of how this disaster actually occurred. The bell rings at 0 seconds, and McGregor, sporting a fresh mohawk and looking exceptionally light on his feet, flies across the canvas. At 5 seconds in, intending to set an immediate, aggressive tempo, he launches a jumping switch kick, throwing that left roundhouse. Holloway, ever the pro, easily navigates the range and slips back. But right at the 7-second mark, watch closely, as McGregor's right foot thuds onto the canvas to absorb his body weight, his knee buckles violently inward. Conor, driven by just pure fighter's instinct, actually attempts to throw 2 more strikes, but his leg entirely refuses to support him. He slips to the canvas. After a brief exchange, as McGregor takes this unsure, visibly painful step backward, referee Mike Beltran steps in, and at exactly 69 seconds, the fight is officially waved off.
Now, to the untrained eye, this might have looked like a minor slip, but the biomechanics tell a completely different story. That sudden internal rotation of the joint, that signaled a catastrophic ligament failure, specifically an ACL tear. Think of it like a rope deep inside the knee that stops the shin bone from sliding forward. In MMA, it classically tears on a planted foot during a really sudden change of direction. UFC CEO Dana White and the ringside doctors immediately suspected a blown ACL, and pending an MRI, this unfortunately appears to be the grim reality of the situation.
Moving on to Section 2, Immediate Medical Fallout, the Operational and Physical Aftermath.
Zooming out from the microscopic injury to the macro reality of the aftermath, the crucial point here is the unforgiving, brutal reality of athletic regulation. Under the strict safety guidelines of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, McGregor has been hit with an automatic 180-day medical suspension. And guys, this isn't just a polite recommendation to rest up. He will require comprehensive surgical clearance from an orthopedic doctor and extensive physical therapy before he's legally permitted to even enter a training facility for full contact. The legal and medical red tape blocking him right now is immense.
And the immediate aftermath was just defined by pure, raw emotion. McGregor left the cage immediately, completely refusing to stay for a post-fight interview, and was literally seen leaving the arena on foot. Hours later, he took to social media to express his complete and utter devastation. He wrote, "My head gasket is gone, destroyed. I am beyond dark here. I can only describe it as hell." You really have to empathize with the psychological devastation here. After a 5-year climb back to the top of the mountain, his own body betrayed him before the fight even really started.
But despite describing his situation as hell, McGregor almost immediately posted a defiant recovery plan. Step 1, surgery. Step 2, prehab. Step 3, return to martial arts practice. And crucially, Step 4, fulfilling the final fight of his UFC contract. He absolutely refuses to let this be the end. But we have to acknowledge reality here. At 37 years old, a newly reconstructed right knee alongside a previously fractured left tibia, that represents a physical hill that might simply be way too steep for even the most driven athlete on earth to climb.
Let's shift gears for a second. Section 3, debunking the rumors. Was Conor compromised before the bell?
Almost immediately, the internet went into absolute overdrive with conspiracies about pre-existing injuries. People were pointing to this random video of him adjusting his shoe backstage, claiming, "Aha, he was already hurt." But both McGregor and his longtime coach, John Kavanagh, forcefully rejected these claims. Kavanagh noted that McGregor had been drilling that exact opening kick throughout camp without a single issue. And UFC CEO Dana White? He was super strong and direct in shutting down the rumors. White stated flatly that if there was an injury, someone would have noticed. He pointed out that McGregor wasn't limping, he put his shoes on, and he literally ran right at him.
And to build on White's argument, consider this massive number, 80 million. That is the number of views the pre-fight ceremonial face-off received online. As Dana White rightly pointed out, with 80 million people watching every single microscopic movement, a noticeable limp or a pre-existing knee issue would have been caught by the masses for sure. The undeniable conclusion from both the UFC and McGregor's camp is that this was just a random, devastating freak accident that happened right there on the canvas.
Which brings us to Section 4, Holloway's composed triumph, closing a 13-year chapter.
While the world mourns the tragic end to McGregor's night, we absolutely cannot overlook the phenomenal composed triumph of Max Holloway. By securing his 28th professional victory, the Hawaiian star stayed perfectly calm during those chaotic 69 seconds. And guys, there is an incredibly poetic, almost tragic symmetry to how this rivalry is played out. Picture this. In August 2013, at UFC Fight Night 26, a young Conor McGregor fought Max Holloway, tore his ACL during the fight, managed to somehow push through it, and won by decision. Fast forward exactly 13 years to UFC 329 in July 2026, they meet again. And this time, Holloway wins by TKO because McGregor suffers the exact same joint failure. You literally cannot write a script like this.
Having identified McGregor's injury immediately and maintained his distance to safely secure the win, Holloway showed immense sportsmanship in the aftermath. Despite the booing crowd, who were obviously frustrated by the abrupt ending, he grabbed the mic and praised his injured opponent, calling him an absolute animal for even trying to continue on a completely destroyed leg. And most importantly for the fans, he left the door wide open for a massive trilogy fight, promising to run it back one more time for the boys.
So, the table is somewhat set for a trilogy, and McGregor insists he's going to return. But I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. At 37 years old, with a completely shattered right knee to match a previously fractured left leg, and hundreds of millions of dollars already sitting in the bank, what could possibly drive an athlete back to the cold, indifferent cage? Is it the unfinished business of a final contract fight, the undeniable pull of the spotlight, or is it simply the unyielding spirit of a fighter who refuses to let a 69-second tragedy dictate his legacy? It's a fascinating look into the psychology of aging athletes and what they are truly willing to sacrifice for one last moment of glory. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.